I'm back again with an interesting video. This is an interesting problem that we will look at, and I would share the solution that I developed to solve this problem. This problem says the string PayPal is hiring is written in a zigzag pattern on a given number of rows like this. PayPal is hiring, so zigzag pattern PAY, then PALIS hiring. So this is the pattern that we have to assume that, if a string is in a zigzag pattern uh, spread on number of rows, which will be input to the function, and the output should read like PHN APL SIIG YIR. So given a string and number of rows, we have to assume that it is in zigzag pattern spread across the number of rows, and then the output is reading it in like straight line. Okay, I hope that makes sense. This problem it takes some time for you to understand, but once understood, it is actually a very simple problem to solve. So the intuition for solving this program is that what we would do is that we will have a list of number of string buffers like equal to the number of rows. So in this case we will have a list which will have 3 string buffers, and what we are going to do is that say we'll have to loop through the string, and in the first iteration up to like 3 characters or number of rows, we would add 1 to the first string buffer, and the second to the second string buffer, and third one to the third string buffer. Now on the way up, we will not add anything in the third string buffer, but we will add an element to the second one and to the first one. On the way down, we will not add anything to the first one. We will add 1 character to the second string buffer and second character to the third string buffer, and so on and so forth until that outer loop reaches to the end of the string. So that's what we are going to do. First up, if the num rows is equal to 1, there isn't much that we have to do. We'll just return s, and then I will declare a few variables, and the toggle one is the one that I will use to know whether I'm going down in the zigzag pattern or I'm going up. So I'm assuming -1, like there is no zigzag pattern, so the first one will be going down. Then I need bunch of other integers to loop through the arrays. And here I am declaring a string builder result, because in the end I will have to concatenate that list as well, the list of string builders. So I will use one specifically for that, and then this is my list of string builders. New array list. Oops. And I will have to initialize this list of string builders. So I will do a for a loop and what I'm doing here so I am initializing the list by adding string builders at each row. So in this case, if num rows says 3, then this list will have 3 string builders. And let's initialize I as 0. I will do a while loop. And what do I have? So I have in this one, what I would do, I would set toggle as 1. That means that the next iteration, the zigzag pattern is going up. And once the zigzag pattern for going up is complete, then the next one is that it will come down. So I will set toggle as 0. If toggle is equal to 0, and I will explain in a bit that why we have to look at the toggle parameters. So when let me just set one more loop here. So what is happening is that when the toggle is -1, what I want to do is that I want to run a loop till the number of rows that we have to worry about, and then respective string builder, in the respective string builder I would append that character. Like in the case of PayPal is hiring, so toggle is -1 for the first iteration of this while loop, and I would get the first string builder, append the character at index I, and then increment I and j. Before getting into the loop though, I would have to set j as 0. So the first element or the first string builder will get P, the second string builder will get A, and the third string builder will get Y in this loop. And then what I'm doing is that I'm setting the toggle to 1. Now why we need to know the toggle position is that in the second iteration of the outer for loop, we do not want to assign anything to the last string builder. So the j in that case would be j rows -2 in this case, because j is starting from 0, so we have to factor in that, and that is why we need to subtract it by 2. Essentially what it does is that, for example, if num rows is 3, so you are subtracting 3 minus 2 1, and what you have is that we will loop it from the back in this case. So we will set the first string builder with the character, and then the second string builder. So in this case we are setting up string builder 1 and string builder 0. So that's why we have to start from the end -1 for when toggle is equal to 1. So let me just copy paste it and update the certain things. All set. So we have to do continue, and then on the way down, what we want to do is that we do not want to assign anything to the first element. So that means whatever assignment that we would do would be from the second string builder. In this case it would be j1, that's a second string builder. So I'll just copy paste this. Okay, so I think this looks good. So we will have our string builders updated with all of this toggling and looking at certain restrictions. So once all of this is done and we are out of our outer while loop, now we are ready to concatenate the results into the result string builder that we have. Since it is a string builder, we have to convert or get the toString value from that. So I think we are good to go now. Let's run the code. Great, so we're getting the results back. Let me just run another test case. So this one also goes fine. In terms of the time complexity, it is big O n. You might argue that there are internal while loops as well, but those while loops are going to run for certain number of rows, and number of rows going by the test cases, we can assume that it will be some constant value only. But yeah, so that's what the time complexity is. In terms of space complexity, it will be of the order number of rows. Yeah, so in this case, yeah, the time complexity, I think, getting back to my initial comment, so it would be of the order n into the number of rows. Now, if number of rows is a constant value, like I mentioned, going by the examples, then we are looking at time complexity of O at n, and similarly the space complexity would be also O num rows, and if num rows is a smaller value, then it is constant. So let's try submitting it. Okay, so this goes fine. Runtime is 11 millisecond, faster than this. Now, thinking about the optimizations. Now, one very good optimization is that if you look into the solution, and I can copy paste it to here to do a better comparison. So one optimization that the solution from Leetcode does is that there are no internal while loops, which is fantastic, because if the number of rows is higher, then you're looking at n into number of rows. Let's first submit this solution to see that if this solution gives runtime lower than the one that we had from previous solution. It does not, and it may just be the test cases that we have for behind the scenes for this particular problem does not expose the limitation or the time complexity part from the previous solution. But intuitively, if number of rows is high, then you're looking at high time complexity in the previous solution. In this one, it is doing all of that toggling, untoggling just in the one loop itself. So what it does, current row is 0, and it has going down as a flag to say whether it is going down or going up. So going down is false here, and then you come here in the first iteration, you would add to our example, you would add p to the first string builder, and then you would check whether you're going down or not. So you're looking at cur row is equal to 0, it is 0, and then you would make going down as true. And in the last statement in the loop, you're checking whether going down is true or not. If going down was true, you would update cur row to next one. So cur row would become 1, and for the next character, the second string builder will get the character. Now, when you are to the end of cur rows, like if you said that in our example we were looking at num rows as 3. So after 2 assignment to the string builders, cur row would become 2, and cur row would become, when cur row becomes 2, going down would become false again. That means now you're going up. So when it becomes false, then you decrement the current row. So current row would become 1, and in the next iteration, when the zigzag is going up, the second or third string builder will not get the value, but the first string will get the value while going up. And likewise, so that toggling that we had in the previous solution, that is maintained through this sophisticated mechanism. So this is a better solution, and if asked, you can go with both the options and talk about the differences between the two. Although the test cases for this solution in Leetcode did not expose the high time complexity of the previous solution, it is just at par. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions for me.